I first want to say thank you for taking the time out to listen to this presentation. I just want to say thank you. I will be doing my presentation on Eastern Connecticut State University. It is my current place of work. I'm the assistant cross country and track coach at the university, as well as the coordinator of intramurals and recreation. So I'm constantly around there. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the university itself. This is my third year working at the university. So just a quick history about what Eastern has to offer. It is a four-year public liberal arts college, the only liberal arts university within the CSCU system. And it was established in 1889. So you're looking at a university that has been around for a long time. It was originally a university strictly for teachers. And as time has progressed, and I'm going to get into a little bit more of this in a short while, but was originally a university for teachers and progressed into multiple different pathways for you to enter the workforce. They now have a School of Arts and Sciences, School of Education and Professional Studies, as well as a School for Continuing Education in order to obtain a master's degree. On any given semester, you're looking at anywhere between 4,000 and 5,500 students on campus. And with that, you're looking at 221 full-time staff and faculty members, as well as 315 part-time staff and faculty members. It gives you about 14 students per faculty member, a pretty small school, almost all people would say. And it shows you just how many people are kind of constantly in and out of the university. Since I am the cross country and track coach, I felt like, yeah, I should say that we are a Division III athletic program. So it's not like athletics is catered for. We're constantly having to put in a whole bunch of extra work in order to make athletics possible for the university. So I first wanted to talk about the technology at Eastern. As the university learned midway through the week this week, technology is super important, very important to the university. It kind of makes everything go. Without it, you're not able to really accomplish any of your work. Without the network that has been operating, a lot of the athletic staff has not been able to reach out to potential student athletes, not able to get a hold of people, not able to get having communication between staff members and people throughout the university is almost impossible, let alone contacting teachers and anything like that. So just having a working network is overly important. And having a team to correct any malfunctions that go on within the network or the Wi-Fi system or any sort of small technicalities, you want to make sure that you're hiring the best there, because once you realize there is no network, there is no Wi-Fi to kind of go off of, the university runs as if it was back in like the 1930s or 40s. So a lot of pen and paper and not a lot of a digital background to kind of base everything off of. You're also learning to adjust to partial online work. With the shutdown, the teachers had to learn really fast about how to utilize technology, how to use WebEx, how to use Zoom in order to communicate with the people within their class. So I feel like having professors who are able to work with technology and use technology is a huge benefit. And just kind of having an understanding coming from having a post-university background after, I know utilizing that non-traditional space to learn, I think, is super important and is going to only get larger as the years go on and as we kind of get adjusted to a new set of life. So having this technology is overly important. Being able to utilize and make sure that the technology is functioning properly is also incredibly important. So the more that you're able to get used to the technology, the better. The implementation and practice of applications throughout any given minor or major is also important, which is going to help end up making qualified workers, which is the overall goal of the university, to ensure that all people are kind of leaving with a degree so that they can find a job and end up doing well. If you're someone that, let's say your major is accounting, you have to learn how to use all the accounting books, utilizing that technology so that if you were to get a job at KPMG or any of the other accounting firms, you're able to hop in day one and know exactly what's going on. So having the university have access to that technology is incredibly important. It definitely helps out the students' learning curve so that they're able to get on top of it and jump in right away so that they're able to progress throughout their 4 years. And as I mentioned earlier, the technology is able to connect multiple groups together. With me being the intramural and recreation coordinator, I'm in the athletic department at all times, but I'm constantly looking to branch out to student activities, or I'm having to reach out to someone else on campus to make sure and utilize that I'm doing what needs to be done. Everything is being checked off. I'm communicating and trying to have a working relationship with other people on campus that have no affiliation with athletics at all. And even as the track coach, I'm reaching out often to admissions to see if any potential student athletes have applied to the university, so that I'm able to kind of look at their progress in their application and let them know if there has to be any changes made to their application. To go with that, there's an organizational change that is constantly going. As I mentioned earlier, the university, it once was only a university for teachers. You would go there, get a teaching certificate, and that was it. Obviously, if you were to look at it in 2021, Eastern is a totally different space. Not only has it changed when it comes to different majors and what it offers, it has grown larger. So you want to make sure that you're adapting and having enough workers around to ensure that the university is working smoothly. So to get back to the point, you're constantly adding new majors and minors and concentrations. Eastern just made a whole lot of big standpoint earlier this year with saying that they now have, I believe it's a minor or a concentration in medical marijuana growing, which is obviously huge. And with the state now passing a law to make it legal to a certain extent, trying to get ahead of that curve and get people into that field is super, super important. So Eastern decided to take the steps and make it a setup so that you could end up leaving once you're graduated with an idea of how to kind of go about that when it comes to medical marijuana or any of the marijuana that is used recreationally or medically. Once again, having to transition to being able to work online, whether that's students transitioning and using Zoom or the staff and faculty having to transition to online learning. Teaching online is totally different, and you kind of have to be able to make sure that you're able to adjust accordingly. For someone who's more hands-on, you just have to make sure that they're staying up to speed with everything. So just making sure that students are comfortable with that online version as well as the in-person that I know Eastern has been pushing very, very intensely is huge. The application adjustments. This year, Eastern offered up a free application day, which was something that has never really happened before. And because the attendance was fairly low for this incoming class, I believe the CSU system set that up in order to try and bring in more students for next year. I think that should make a pretty huge change to how many students are going to be on campus for next year. We're anticipating a large number of people to be coming in. So I believe that's a positive change that we ended up making in order to bring in enough students to make sure all the beds were filled at the university. Finally, to finish up this, I mentioned earlier about how the campus is expanding. There's new buildings and spaces to draw from for the students. The Fine Arts building is probably a year and a half to 3 years old. So that's probably the best idea to kind of give. They're constantly adjusting, constantly making new things. If you were to go and look at a movie in there or watch a play, it is actually pretty inspiring because the building is beautiful. The whole setup is brand new, state of the art, and makes people really want to go there because of this new change. Um, and I also put this in because the athletic buildings are getting older and older. And if you were to renovate or make a new athletic building, you'd probably have a lot more people willing to, especially on the student athlete side, willing to go to Eastern because they're thinking, oh, this brand new gym, this brand new facility, I'd be able to kind of make sure that I'm top of my game. Very similar to what happened with Central Connecticut State University a couple years ago. I believe in 2017, they finally renovated their new gym and it is state of the art, brand new, and they're getting plenty of student athletes that want to go there because the facilities are so nice. To go with that, making the transition to inputting hours online, I'm in charge of 12 student workers. And prior to I got there, it was still done. Putting in their hours was done on timesheet, time card that was handwritten. Now I'm able to input all of the hours in through Course CT, which makes things so much easier. And it just not a headache of having to write everything down. The online system is able to make things a whole lot better. So that's a new change that also helped the university run smoother. Finally, the organizational culture. Getting a job in higher education is very tough. So when you're applying, the university is 100% looking for someone who has a desire and passion for education. If you're working in the higher ed space, you want to make sure that you're bringing in someone who has a true passion and is constantly promoting the idea of educating yourself and re-educating yourself and learning. If you don't hire someone like that, you're not really putting out the correct ideas to students, student athletes. So you want to make sure that the end goal is leaving with a degree, leaving with a great setup so you can go and find a good job. Also, when it comes to organizational culture, I love Eastern because they give staff and faculty the opportunity to enhance their education. I'm taking my master's program at a fraction of a cost of what it would normally cost someone because since I work for the university, I get the benefits of getting my tuition lowered. So they're always kind of pushing to get their workers highly educated and make sure they're at the top of their game. So that leads to a great culture. I'm very, very happy with where I'm at. The core values and mission statement that push the university is another great way to kind of get the culture high and make sure that people are willing to kind of step up and do what they have to do. With the mission statement, Eastern Connecticut State University looks to engage students from diverse backgrounds, and they're looking to transform the learning experience that provides knowledge and skills to lead enriching, purposeful lives. So what that means is they're willing to kind of step up and give everyone that affordable education that you might not be able to get at some other place. So by stepping up and stating their mission statement and kind of providing a couple core values, you kind of have a good understanding of what to expect. And I feel like that only just raises the culture and sets an expectation for people to follow. By setting that standard, everyone kind of knows what is expected of them as they enter in the classroom, their workspace. And you always want a staff that wants excellence, which is another reason why it's so tough to get into higher education as a job. Everyone's going to be pushing their best. So that only is going to raise the culture and raise the expectations of who you're hiring. And with that, that is my entire slide. I just want to say thank you again. I appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you.